Hi guys, why do most founders fail at networking and what to do instead? I've seen all of this play out over the past few months whilst building the BNC, the Business Networking Club, and I'm learning very quickly how big the problem is. And yeah, it's huge. It's a massive problem that people are having with networking right now, or even what networking is, or even, thinking that they need networking and not actually doing any of it. I think there's some stigma, there's some association, some negative association that's attached with all of this. One of the biggest things is about, sounding cringe or being cringe about things. I want to break down the five areas that I've sort of uncovered the most over the past few months whilst I've been building out the Business Networking Club, the BNC, and try to help people with different ways to approach it. So I'm not just going to reel off why it's so bad out there for networking, how the art or the simplistic way of being able to communicate with other people seems to have, really hit some barriers. And I think people are just finding it really difficult to get through. I think some of that is down to people having a fear of, I need to get the sale, I need to get the sale in the back of their head all the time so that the conversation they're having is really just about them and not the person they're trying to connect with. But before I go off on anything, I want to go through five ways that I'm seeing that's really causing some problems right now, and then some alternative ways about it. So the common things that I see the most of right now, and some different approaches that will get you some much better improved results from all of this. So, as always, this is completely unedited. I don't edit these videos, not because I'm lazy, but, but I just think this is a video that doesn't need to go through AI, right? And some videos I still do some stuff through AI, and some I'm putting captions through it, and adding filters and cutting things up a bit, but I'm not doing these 5 second edits. I'm not doing extreme sort of expressions. I'm not, it's just honest. And I think that's one of the things that we have to, try to maintain this honesty and authenticity that everyone always tells you about being authentic. No one really explains what that means. But I think if you're writing content or talking to get the most out of the algorithm, to get the most out of the reach that you're hoping to get. If you're doing that, then you turn into Andrew Tate in 6 months because you are playing to an audience, you are performing. And we've seen all of that happen. We've seen how big YouTube influencers did it. We saw how big content creators are doing it now. Everyone's trying to perform. And I don't think that's authentic. I don't think that's how people are when you shake their hand and ask them how they are. I remember, just to go into another story slightly, but I remember talking with so many YouTubers who were have millions and millions and millions of followers. And when you go to talk to them on a one-to-one basis, they're the most introverted, shy person you've ever met. And then the camera goes on, and there is a switch that clicks, and they think it's performance time. And I think it's really dangerous because it's not really who you are. So I want, I don't care about views. I don't care about subscribers. Obviously, thank you for subscribing. But I'm not here to get those numbers that way. I have systems and processes that are set up. So I know that people are going to see this. I orchestrate my distribution. I'm not I'm not just going to post this and think, okay, that's it. it will get distributed in a number of different ways with systems and processes attached around it so that content keeps getting seen and I'm not just continually pushing out stuff, looking at the analytics and trying to improve on the last piece. I'm not trying to tinker with my thumbnail to improve all of that. I think you've got to be really careful with that. And I know businesses want views, and I know people want recognition, and they want to be seen, and they want to be heard, and they want to be noticed, and they want their solutions to be, to get across to people in the right way. But I think we have to maintain an authentic voice to who we are and what we're about. And that goes back to my first point, really, explaining why it feels fake to most people, because they're thinking that they've got this script that they've got to get through, or they've watched this other person, some marketing bro is told them about they've got to, hit 500 people every day in DMs. They've got to go through this script. They've got to have this, I mean, I can't even remember how many people I've spoken to in the last like 3 or 4 months who've had their Reddit accounts banned because there's so much stuff going on. A lot of this educational content is on YouTube, telling people to set up a Reddit account, go and hit all these people, put in automation sequences to be able to find the content, to comment like crazy on people's stuff or to post. And it's like we're better than that. Sure, we can do scale and we can do some numbers to be able to get to where you want to be, but it's also about like having meaningful conversations with people. And I think one way to do this that every anyone watching this could do, if you have an X account or LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok or Substack or any social account, and I would be doing this as just try this over the next like couple of months. Give it a couple of months to try it out and see how you get on. But I would be looking at the last people that have followed me over the past 2 weeks, and I would just be sending them a DM and saying, "Hi, thanks for following. Just wondered what you're working on right now." Something as simple as that. This is not, check out my link, book a call with me. Have you seen my thing about this? Or trying to like crowbar in some kind of leverage point of what I've got that you need. You don't need to talk about that in the first interaction. And there is a place for moving people along from that stage. But this is about just trying to have trying to be memorable, trying to have a useful interaction with someone, trying to be human and stay authentic without thinking about a script or a DM sequence I've got to put people through. And I tell you something as well, if you're on X and you can do this, what works even better is to be able to do it as a voice note. So it's just a very short, "Hi, thanks for following. What are you working on?" Or "How's things going with the business right now?" Or just something that doesn't feel like it's going to take me somewhere I don't want to go, because that's how other people will receive that. That's how other people will be thinking about that message. So think about how you can do that. And I think a lot of people haven't spoken to their followers, haven't had any interaction with people that are already following them. And you can improve all of this with your positioning on your profile. Now, if your profile is only talking about your thing, and it's only talking about your offer, and it's only talking about the solution that you provide, or you're the founder of this site or this app or whatever it is, then I think you're missing a trick there in terms of your positioning, who you are, what you're about, who you help, how long you've been doing it, and wh why they should why they should care, why they should trust, like, or or follow you in the first place. When people are going through to your profile for the first time, they are thinking two things only, which is who is this and what are they going to do for me? So when you know that, and if you're going to send people DMs, if you're going to send any kind of like contact with people, if you're on social for contact, sounds like such a basic load of stuff, but it's true. I think we need to go back to absolute basics. And if you're on social for, having interaction with people, if you're on social just to like broadcast, then it doesn't matter. Any of this stuff doesn't, none of it matters because you're just opening the app, broadcasting your stuff and closing it again. But I think we've all kind of learned, as long as we've been up to our necks in social media for the last 20 years in our business, constantly being told that we've got to open new accounts and start on new platforms and do more stuff. That that's not going to work. That's we need engagement, and we are trying to build relationships. We're trying to build connections with people. So base one of that, or stage one of that, is about having your positioning very clear. And when you know that people only have those two thoughts, who are you and what are you going to do for me? Who is it and what are they going to do for me? When you can answer that in your bio, in your profile, and back it up with credibility and authority about who you are, what you do, or how you help people, how long you've been working, how many people you've helped. This is why that LinkedIn, I help X achieve Y, 20 years experience, 10 years experience, 5 years experience, $10 million achieved, $100 billion achieved, 20 contracts per week, whatever it is, that backing it up with credibility and authority. And your profile has to have some of that credibility and authority built in, whether it's in the pinned post, whether it's in the articles, whether it's in the link in your bio is able to go through to client testimonials, or however it's going to be baked into it. Needs to be like visible and easy and straightforward and simple to understand. If you're sending messages out to people and you start doing exactly what I said, which is thanks for following me, what are you working on? And your profile is you know stroking cats for a living, or you're trying to be clever more than you're trying to be clear. And I think a lot of people on X are guilty of that. A lot of the time we see people that are just trying to sort of show off to their peers. I mean, there's a lot of peacocking going on that particular platform. It happens in other places too, less so in that way on LinkedIn. People know that their LinkedIn profile is important, so they're not going to do it in that way most of the time. You still see it occasionally, but most of the time it's formatted and structured in a certain way. And I think as you get more and more connections, you start to see those profiles around you that have filled out more of their elements and have got like it all looking right. I think people on X sort of trying to sort of make it look effortless and just make it look like, yeah, I don't care. It's only Twitter. But if you're watching this and you probably do care, and you're probably starting to think differently around social, starting to think you've got to take this stuff a bit more seriously. So your profile has to look right, because when you send a DM to people that says, thanks for following, what you're working on, and they don't see who you are. They might have just followed you almost blindly. Who knows? It might have been, something that they were listening to in a space and they followed you, or you were a comment somewhere and they followed you. They probably don't remember who they followed. Like try to think about the last 20 people you follow. There's no way you would remember that, or the last, 5 likes that you've given out. Who were they to? You don't know. No one remembers that stuff. It's just instant and fast and instantly forgettable. You don't remember the reason, you don't remember the mindset, you don't remember the frame of mind or the reference points, why you were doing that in that stage. So I think it's important to get the positioning right before you send anything out to anyone. And I think it's okay to start thinking of Twitter as a bit of a serious platform. I think Elon is a serious operator, regardless of what you think of him and what he's achieved. I'm kind of I'm respectful of what his achievements are and what he's done. I know he's a divisive figure, and I know that there's people that are angry with him and um, have left the platform who are peers of mine, people in the tech industry. A lot of people have left and don't want to be around that. But I still think, regardless of all of that, I think he's a force to be reckoned with, and you don't bet against Elon Musk. He is, for me, I believe he's one of these people that loves a challenge and loves someone saying to him, "You'll never do that. Why are you doing that? You'll never be able to do that." And he's got a voice or something inside his head that's just like, "I'll show you, I'll show you, I'll show you what I can do, and I'll do it better than you ever thought it was possible." And I'm sure he sent a few DMs or a few emails out to people that doubted him in the past. And he would have been very, very happy about that. And I'm sure he would remember all of that stuff. I'm not saying he holds a grudge or vendetta or anything. I just think people that are operators like that, high end operators, usually have some sort of inner motivation around it. In my opinion, I think it's that. So I wouldn't bet against Elon, and I think he'll get the platform right, and I think he'll get the algorithm and distribution better on the platform. I I still think it's the future of social media in terms of being able to connect to anyone openly on a platform and have conversations with people. I think we're just not using it right, and we haven't caught up to where he wants to take it. We're still thinking of it as a micro attention, micro blogging platform, and we haven't sort of understood, or not we, because I have, but you guys haven't understood or fully like comprehended like what's available and how you have to utilize the platform to steer people in different directions. So I think your positioning is going to be critical to get this, to get any kind of DM, to get any kind of networking or interaction happening. If the first click from that DM is to look at your profile, and if they don't see what you're about, if they can't read it clearly, who you are, what you're going to do for them, if they don't get any of that from the first like 5 seconds of that view, you're instantly forgettable. And this is what, I find frustrating is there's so many good people out there. You talk to them in spaces and they're great. They've got a really good tone and they're really smart and they speak with such clarity, but their profile is kind of all over the place. They haven't updated it for 5 years. They don't really want to. They're worried about what other people think. They're scared of what other people think. They think other people are going to think, oh, I'm taking this platform too seriously. It's not LinkedIn. It's just casual. It's just a broadcast platform. You know, you can have all of those thoughts, or you can start to think differently and think, okay, well, what do we have on this platform? How can we use it in a way to be able to help more people with the product or service that I'm offering? And I think we have to just understand like user behavior, how people behave on this platform, how it's a short attention span, shorter than most other platforms in terms of like text, reading text and moving on to the next post. It's always been, quick, instant, fast, um, and it's about building around your profile so that you become the authority. Now, I know it might sound easy for me to say that, who's been doing this. All I know is about, social media and building communities and building profiles and getting customer acquisition through organic. It might sound easy for me to be able to talk about become the category leader. But I think if you're in the right category, there is opportunity for anyone to be able to own a piece of a category, a piece of the business. I don't see many people talking about organic customer, organic social media customer acquisition. I see lots of people talking about how to get more customers. I see lots of people talking about how to get more clients, but it's often kind of wrapped up in this complicated way. I think if you're able to be more clear and uh, have the clarity on your offering, then I think you stand out a million miles ahead of anyone else. I think the second part of I mean, that was the first part, so you can imagine how long this video is going to be. I hope it doesn't go on too long because I feel my voice is starting to go. Um, but yeah, the second point, well, actually, I think I've kind of covered two or three points in one point. Sometimes I do that. And I will just say this as well, like I've noticed one of my one of the things I need to improve on is the way of getting my point across clearly. I think I can talk in spaces when I'm talking on audio only. I try to emphasize the point so clearly that I think I end up sort of overemphasizing it a bit. So I feel like I might be going on the same thing over and over again. So I'm recognizing that and trying to be a bit more structured and clear about how I'm getting my points across. So I have got some notes and I am like referencing those to be able to help make sure that I can go through everything. So I think that works as going like that example of a DM structured that way. Lots of people talk to me about, what's the DM script, what's the best script to use. I think it's about it's something like what I've just explained and trying to move people into having a conversation with you because that's how relationships are. If you think how you would meet someone, I don't even know if people do this anymore, but it definitely happens less. But I think there's more appetite for it than ever. But if you meet someone at a networking event, I haven't met anyone at a networking event for a while, and I would love to go and meet some founders or some technical founders or some devs at a dev conference, and I would love to see how that introduction works now, like today, because my gut and everything else tells me that 95% of those interactions would be very awkward. They'd be very quiet. There'd be a lot of, introverted people. It's always been the same. But I've always made a point of, you know, trying the extra sort of giving the extra 10% to make people feel comfortable and not talking about me at all. Sometimes I forget to even introduce myself. And it's just about trying to make them feel comfortable. When they've done the introduction, I'm asking three or four questions about what they're doing before they've even, asked about me, or sometimes we even talk about me and just sort of say goodbye and move on. But I'm conscious of that sort of interaction being really awkward for a lot of people, and questions is a way to be able to put people at ease. It helps people get comfortable. If they say I'm developing an audio agent that improves efficiency by 70% in customer service, or so, I don't know, something like that. I could quite easily ask another 5 or 6 questions about that. And I know by the end of it, even if they don't know my name, even if they don't know who I am, um, that they feel a bit more comfortable. And I think that's when you understand how that works, it's a lot easier to have a real meaningful connection with people on social, knowing that people like to have questions asked. People like to have a sort of real interaction where it's not, the question isn't leading you to the pitch that I'm trying to get to because that's in my script that I have to get through because some guy told, or some lady guy told me that I've got to send 500 DMs a day and they've got to have this script attached to it. Hmm. So I just think we can do so much better than that. And the networking, another part of that is um, because of the BNC and what we've been doing in the BNC, we've set up all of these X chat groups. And some people will say, I don't like group chat. I don't like being in a group chat area. I mean, I don't think anyone really likes being in those group chats in like WhatsApp groups or those big group chats unless they're really valuable, unless they're really useful. Then of course you want to be there, and of course you want to participate. But I see people joining those, and I've done everything. I think I've done pretty much everything I think I can do to improve all of that. I've done like video intros, I've done onboarding. There's they have to uh, sort of agree to the rules before joining, and what like basic etiquette is when you join the DM group. Like I've tried to going back to the thing about how people are sort of quite sort of blasé about Twitter or think it's only Twitter or you know I think it's just because they've never had a customer from Twitter and they've never had it sort of working for them. So they just sort of, it's all very casual. But if you change your positioning, if you change the environment that you're creating around it, it starts to, you know, people sort of change their behavior a little. So I've been doing lots of work around that, but even though there are rules, there are video walkthroughs, there are networking quizzes to be able to improve your networking capability in there. There's a marketplace that I've built that's within the X chat group so people can join and see what other people are offering and what they want. I've tried to like do a lot more than anyone else is doing um, with those with that new area. And people still join and just sort of, write hey or what's up or yo or hey bro or something. And there's now there, I think it sort of gets, and I was thinking, well, this is because people are scared and that they're coming into a group, they can't see the previous chats. So it's just like welcome to them and suddenly they're in the group. And that might be a bit scary, like what do I say? What do I talk about? How do I introduce myself? If you've got no reference points to be able to look through what other people have done, then it can be a bit scary. I get that. But it's kind of like how you would just walk up to someone if you were meeting them in a networking event. Hi, how you doing? I do this. I'm looking for people that are interested in that or can help with this, or I also get that no one is when people are at a certain level, there are not many buyers. There is a lot of sellers and not many buyers of products and services because everyone's trying to sell. And I think no one's going to remember. No one's going to remember any of the people that are selling anything when they are ready to buy. So you have to think about planting seeds now for the next 5 or 10 years, not the next 5 or 10 minutes or the next 1 or 2 weeks or something. And I know it's scary, and I know it's not instant, and I know we live in this world where everything is fast, and we can order phone, and we could order a haircut on our phone. We can order, food deliveries and groceries and everything else. We can get a date. We can get everything that we possibly could want in seconds with a swipe. But the relationships, the business relationships, if you talk to any founder, any entrepreneur, anyone that's been successful, or has had success, or is successful now, or had success in the past, they will tell you about, you talk to them about the connections they made, the chance encounter that they had with someone, and how they remember them because of that situation. I think everyone, I don't like to make bold, sweeping statements, but I think there's a large majority of people that are instantly forgettable because they're not thinking about tomorrow. They're just thinking about today. And this is one of the reasons why I've stopped anyone posting anything in those groups. I don't want people thinking, oh, this is a group where I can get 5 more likes on my content. Instead, it's a group for conversations. And I feel like there's a lot of work to do. Um, there's a lot of work to do. But if you can focus on those conversations, if you can think about how you can be useful, if you can think about how you can help other people without expectation of anything back, then I think occasionally you're going to get surprised and things are going to fall in your lap. Opportunities will come to you. You've just got to set the parameters. You've just got to set the boundaries and the guardrails, and facilitate the infrastructure of having a place where people can have those conversations, feel safe, not feel like they're going to get ridiculed or abused or belittled or roasted or anything. It's going to be a safe, calm environment, and try and help move people forward. But I knew it was bad. I knew it was bad. I've seen lots of talks about it for the last like 18 months or so, but probably longer than that. This is like the Business Networking Club has been in my head for a long time, and it just wouldn't go away, and it just kept getting reminded to me every sort of 3 or 4 months. This is not an algorithmic thing. Content would just pop up in front of me that would be talking to me about, you need to build this thing. There's a problem here. And human connection. People working in isolation for too long. Real human connection is something we can learn so much from each other about, more so than any course or any guru selling something or some, we can learn a lot from each other's mistakes, from our learnings, from our failures, from everything that we've done in life. And if we're surrounded by a supportive community, which is what my focus on really is about attitude more than anything. I can't change like how people uh, are, or how they sort of think about the platform, what they're doing. But if I can take them on a journey that's not about a funnel, but about a self-improvement part of that, without it ever feeling like it's a course or a funnel, or I know there's like one of the things I wrote down here is about Will Carter has a great um, phrase. I think he borrowed that from someone else, but a lot of communities feel like they're more funnel than fun, or less fun, more funnel, or something like that. I don't want it to feel like you're in a, you're in a machine and you're just going through to the next stages. I want it to feel like there are the people that will support you and always be on your side and always be there ready to help and always give supportive feedback and be useful. But I think you've got to also do some work on that too. I think there's two sides of this. If you're only doing self-promotion, if you're only talking about the thing that you've got, if you're only talking about I need something, or who's going to introduce me to this, or who's going to do that for me, or this is my thing. I've got 10 sign-ups this weekend. You can be my 11th. You know, this kind of stuff. I think we can do better than that. Like you wouldn't talk in that way to your friend or to someone you were meeting for the first time if it was face to face. And I think that's the biggest takeaway out of all of this stuff. Like networking is about being able to think of it as like having a conversation that you would have with someone if they were in front of you. If you were talking to them in front of you, what would you say? How would you greet them? What would be your opening line? How would you ask about them? What would be the questions that you would ask them about their business? How would you read if they were comfortable or not and they wanted to talk more? Understand, like read the room and kind of understand what's going on. If you are in broadcast mode and it's only about you, it's only about your stuff, you don't need networking. You need help. You need help because it's not about your thing. It's about it's about how you can be useful to them. That's how those business connections last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. The people that are successful or have been successful that I was talking about before, they remember those relationships. They know there is still someone that they could call if they're in trouble. If they had a situation with something, they remember that accountant that they spoke to at that conference that time, and they've still got their business card and it's always been sitting on their desk, and they know that they can call them up, and that could be that the problem could go away. No one's remembering you. No one's thinking about you. No one cares about you. And this is true because no one's taking the effort to go any further. No one's taking the effort to be the extra step. No one's no one's doing that. Everyone's thinking very transactionally and speed. And I think there's a place for the Business Networking Club to be a real differentiator out in the world, where it's a true community, where it's not trying to get you into a funnel. It's not trying to move you to the next tier. It's none of that stuff. There's only one tier. So you don't have to worry about that. Um, and I think it's about having as close as you can to having real human connection with like-minded people that have got an attitude of, I want to help you move forward. And I think if everyone thinks like that, instead of I've got the thing that I'm trying to sell, then I think everyone wins. I think everyone wins. And it's a much better environment, it's a much better ecosystem. And I'm trying to build that from the beginning. That's like the main message that I'm trying to get across. So yeah, thank you. And it feels like today or this session was a bit of a therapy session. I think a lot of or some of my YouTube videos can feel like they go round and round in certain areas, but I hope it's been useful for you. And if you are in the XChat groups and you think Jason's talking about me, I probably am talking about you. And you should have a look at yourself and the content that you're putting out and the way that you interact. You've got a real chance to be memorable in that area. It's totally free. They're not, you know, they're your areas. It's your group. It's your group chats. That it's there for you. and there's technical founders, there's founders, there's to show that I don't care about like conversion here because I've even got ones that are pre-revenue. So people that aren't earning any money are welcome and they have their own group as well. They can join the main groups or they can join the subgroups. And I kind of think I mean, I can't think of another way to demonstrate more clearly that it's not about the money. I don't care if people only use those groups forever, that's fine. If not trying to convert people through, no one gets like, um, upsell DMs or anything like that. There is emails and there is like showcasing what the opportunity is to be able to move up the stage and what the outcomes are expected by doing that. But there is no like tiered pricing structure. There's just like join or don't. And I don't care whatever you do. I don't care if you join or not. I want you to just like have something out of it. What bothers me the most is when I see people that are in real pain, or I hear people that come into spaces and they say, Jason, look, I've been doing this for months, nothing's working. And then I give them, sometimes I've been on like spaces going 20, 30 minutes saying, then you do this, then you do this, and this is what you do then, and then you do this, and then you do it. And I shouldn't do that because no one ever does anything with any of that stuff. And what happens is they get frustrated, and then I see that they've left the groups. And that's the saddest thing for me, that I wasn't able to, um, they couldn't see the value enough in it for them. But I also recognize there's a lot of people that if they don't see the value instantly enough, that's when they go. We're still doing lots of things around this, and I'm trying to get the balance right between fast and good and cheap and making sure that it fits within all of those areas so it's accessible to anyone. It's fast for the right people and the quality is there for the people that want it. I think there's going to be a massive resurgence of in real life and in-person events, and maybe that will help people be better online, or maybe it will just take people away from being online. But I would like BNC to be a little corner of the internet that allows people to have good networking experiences, meet good people, and move each other and their businesses forward. That's what it's all about. So thanks for joining today with this. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm going to be doing more YouTube videos as we got to the end of June and realized that I haven't really been posting as much as I should be. YouTube and X are really going to be my primary channels moving forward. So we're going to do a lot more on these. And if you haven't joined the X chat groups, or if you're on X and you want to get involved in those, there's 800 people in those groups now. There's about 10 or 15 join every day, something like that. So they're growing as you'd expect because there's a marketer doing all the work. They're not going to stay still. They're not going to stay the same. They're always going to evolve and keep growing. Um, and there are people there that are still active, that have been active from, very early days, maybe since like member 30 or something. There's a lot of people that are still sticking with it. But the majority is really struggle with this. Even people, even people that I think are going to be really good in there, and they come in there and just don't take it seriously, don't use it to their benefit. There's a lot of work to do, and it's not that difficult. It's just about doing you know, putting it through a filter before you send anything out, before you DM someone, before you're writing in group chats, before you're even writing posts or anything like that. Just think, would I say this to someone in person? It's always a good filter. It's always been a good filter. And I know it feels like it's going a little bit backwards, and it's not the growth hack that you want because everything needs to be fast. But I tell you what, it's going to save you a lot of time if you do this versus not doing this, thinking that volume is going to be your friend, um, and thinking that all of the people that you skip through without spending a little bit of time on each of them is there some sort of missed or waste of time, misconnection. Try to think of everyone as an opportunity for you to help them. And in life and in business, it's all about your next move. So I'll see you next time for your next move. I'll put the links below. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.